Hey, this is Scott Lara, president of militaryfares.com, your one-stop shop for travel. If you're a member of the military, if you're a veteran like I am, or if you're a family member of a military person, go to militaryfares.com for all your travel needs. Is bigger better? Cruises, all-inclusive resorts, airplanes. Well, let's talk about cruises first. Back in the day, there were cruise ships with maybe 1,500, 2,000 passengers on board, 3, 4, 500 crew. They were small, intimate ships. And my wife sailed on those quite a bit, mostly the Holland America MS Maasdam. It was a smaller ship, very intimate. It was like Titanic. It was very elegant. The art, $1 million worth of art on the ship. And it was the only word I can think of is intimate. It was a great experience. Now let's talk about all-inclusive resorts. Now, there's a very intimate resort, TRS Cap Cana, that I've been to. And that only has like around 160 rooms or so, if I remember correctly. No carts driving you around, a very small beach, a couple restaurants, a nice spa, the Zentropia Spa. And so that's an intimate resort. Now, airplanes, my son just flew on a plane, probably a 787, flying overseas. And now you got a big plane. And of course, my wife and I have been on prop jobs, small planes. So is bigger better? Well, that's a subjective question because it depends on what you like. Do you like something more intimate, like, TRS Cap Cana, just a small resort? Do you like a small cruise ship where you get to know the crew really well? And that's fun. I mean, like I said, on the Maasdam, my wife and I knew the crew. We'd sailed on the Maasdam many times. And I can remember people's names right now that we became very close friends with because we would take 7-day, 10-day, 11-day, 14-day cruises on the Maasdam and loved every minute of it. Also, when you have a smaller cruise ship, when you go to the private island like Half Moon Cay, there aren't 5, 6, 10, 20,000 people on the private island, unless another ship, was there at Half Moon Cay too, like the Maasdam and maybe the Fascination or one of the older ships. But now let's go about cruises. What I'm saying is, my wife and I just came off the Icon of the Seas. And you're looking at between 6,000 and 7,000 passengers, a couple thousand guests, but it's a huge ship. If you look, just do a Google search, Titanic versus Icon, I mean, you could fit like 3 or 4 Titanics inside of Icon. And when Marty and I were at Coco Cay, one of the smaller Royal Caribbean ships was docked right next to the Icon. And it's kind of like a Volkswagen Bug versus an 18-wheeler. I mean, just night and day. Now about resorts, going like I was saying about TRS Cap Cana, I got a small resort, but I've also been to TRS Turquesa, TRS Cap Cana, which is a smaller one. We got TRS Turquesa, TRS Coral, TRS Yucatan that are the bigger ones. More rooms, more restaurants, bigger beaches. And then of course with airplanes, it just depends. I mean, if you're just, flying from, Jacksonville to Orlando, maybe a small jet or a prop job will get you there. It's not going to be super comfortable, maybe. Now, of course, if you're on a G550 or a G650 private jet, yeah, it'll be comfortable. But for the most part, if you're flying commercial or small, and I've been on small planes, believe me, and it's not only is it a white knuckle experience sometimes, especially if you're flying into, I'll tell you the story. I was in Belize. And I took a prop job from Belize to a little island, and it was like, 8, 10 people on there, and it was white knuckle for me, and everybody was kind of laughing. And also we took a small plane from, I want to say from New York to Quebec, Canada, and it was interesting. But the point I'm trying to say is bigger better? I guess the answer to that is it depends. If you and the person you're traveling with want a bigger, grander experience, yeah, Icon of the Seas, Wonder of the Seas, Connings Dam, MSC Seashore, these big ships, you got to know what your trade-offs are, right? Now, I will tell you on the MSC Seashore, which I had a great time. I got there like at 1:30 in the afternoon. My boarding time was 2, and I just basically walked onto the ship. I got out of my shuttle and went right up the escalator, and there was nobody there in the 30 stations, where people are taking your passport and getting your information. There's nobody there, nobody. Now, the fact of the matter is those people probably boarded around 11, 11:30, 12, because they want to start their vacation as early as possible. So you're going to say, Scott, why did you wait till 1:30 to go? Well, I live in Jacksonville, so it's about a 2-hour drive from Jacksonville down to Port Canaveral. So, I didn't want to wake up at the crack of dawn, leave at 6 a.m. and get down there. So even though I probably did wake up early. And so I left like whatever, 8:30, I guess, drove down to Port Canaveral, 95 South, and, got on the ship around, 1:30. But, going back to Icon, my wife and I just sailed on the biggest cruise ship in the world, Icon of the Seas. And that was down in Miami. So that's about a 6-hour drive with my wife. It's about a 4-hour drive with my brother-in-law. But when we went on the Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady, that was fun. And it's a mid-sized ship. I don't want to say it's a small ship. I don't want to say it's a real big ship, but it was an amazing experience, and that's another video. But going back to is bigger better, you've just got to know that if you're going on Icon or Wonder or Mardi Gras, there's things you got to think of. Number one, your boarding time. Do you want to go at a boarding time where it's going to be, I don't want to use the word crazy, where it's going to be crowded? Let me use that word. That goes back to airfare, because when you talk about flying to Cancun, which I fly to Cancun several times a year, let me ask you a question. Do you want to fly to Cancun on a Friday or a Saturday? Or do you think it's smarter to fly in on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? Answer is Tuesday or Wednesday, because everybody and their brother, for the weekend, okay, I'm going to fly out on Friday from Orlando, maybe 9 a.m., land at 11 a.m. in Cancun if you're taking a nonstop flight, and that immigration area is going to be crowded. But I've flown in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and it just depends on how many planes are coming in that day, but immigration is a lot better. Same way flying out. If you're flying out on a Sunday, it's going to be a lot more crowded at the airport than if you're flying out on a Thursday. And so, those are just things you got to be mindful of, is, what your tolerance is for stress at the airport, stress on cruise ships, stress at all-inclusive resorts. Now, I will say, as I'm going back to talking about Cancun now, making sure your transportation is good to go. You don't want to wait there at the Cancun airport outside, if it's either 100 degrees outside or if it's raining, for your transportation. You want it to be Johnny on the spot. It's kind of like if you have a relative pick you up at the airport. Do you want your relative, okay, I'm on my way. You've been standing there in an hour and your relative stopped to get something to eat or drop off the kid at daycare or something. And it's the same way with your transportation at airports. You got to make sure your transportation is good to go. If it's an Uber, if it's a Lyft, or if it's a van or something, back in the day when I traveled to Cancun, the transportation company used to hold up a sign, welcome Scott Lara, and that kind of makes you feel good. It's kind of like when you walk into Starbucks and, your name is on that cup of coffee, it feels nice. And several times I've been to Cancun. This is back when Traffic Tours was the van line that was taking care of me. In some cases, they would have my name on a sign. In some cases, they wouldn't. And that would be the experiences. The last couple times I've been there, I just had to walk up to the thing. Hey, Scott Lara. Oh, hey, here's my clipboard. Oh, there you are. Yeah, there you are. And so that's kind of a thing too. But going back to is bigger or better, that's what you got to really consider. And talk it over with the person you're traveling with too. I'm hyper, okay? I want to get through TSA quick. I want to get on my van quick. I want to get to the resort quick. I want to get on the ship quick. My wife is, in 40 years I've been married, she's more relaxed and slow and take it easy. And I'm just not that way. I want to get to where I want to get to. And then when I'm on the ship or when I'm at the resort or when I'm on the airplane, that's when I can relax. And my best friend, he's the same way. He's like, getting through TSA. He's got a couple kids. You got your shoes, got your play pack, got your backpack, you got your neck brace thing for the plane. Take off your shoes, put on your shoes. So it could be a real stressful situation. So in closing, all I want to say is that is bigger better? It just depends. Scott Lara, president of militaryfairs.com, your one-stop shop for travel. Be sure to like and subscribe here on militaryfairs.com, the YouTube channel there. Also, you can Google Scott Lara, SCOTT space LARA. Google or look at my YouTube channel over there. You'll see a lot of the tips that I give here on this channel too. I've been doing travel for over 15 years. I love to travel. We only have one shot. As Gary Vaynerchuk says, it's a 400 trillion to one shot that you're a person, that you're here. A lot of things could have changed when you were born, and somebody could have been somewhere else and whatever, but you're here, and I encourage you to travel. You got one shot at this. You got one at bat. Scott Lara, President of Military Affairs.